Down near the border, there's a place where distance feels like a warning, where the desert keeps secrets better than people do, even now. One road in, one road out. Places like Ruby were built on that kind of math, and the desert always collects what's left behind, for good. The hills don't care who comes here, miners, smugglers, lawmen. They just watch and wait for the next story to start, in silence. Today, Ruby looks like a town that forgot how to breathe. Walls still standing, but the life inside them long gone, right now. Ruby was never meant to be gentle. It was carved into the desert for what lay underground: money, pressure, and the kind of luck that turns bad, fast, so often. In towns like this, the loudest conversations weren't spoken. They happened in looks, in pauses where a drink could buy trust, or start a feud, at once. Contraband didn't need highways, only darkness and nerve. Out here, a trail could be a business plan, or a one-way trip into the desert, out here. Every corner felt like a question. You learned to walk slow, listen hard, because in Ruby, an ambush could be waiting where daylight couldn't reach, every day. This is where people bought sugar, nails, and hope. But in a border town, even groceries could feel like leverage, real power. Law existed here sometimes, and when it did, it was usually outnumbered and paid in fear, most days. Up here, you can see why people came, and why they stayed armed. In Ruby, visibility was survival, no doubt. Some nights, the whole town went quiet at once, because one wrong sound could start a gunfight that didn't end quickly, all night. News traveled fast, even out here. A single message could bring a buyer, a rival, or a man looking for revenge so quickly. In Ruby, bullets weren't just tools. They were punctuation used to end arguments when words stopped working, with force. Out here, justice had a price tag, and the people with money didn't always want peace. They wanted control, no peace. You could lock the door, but you couldn't lock the night out. In a town like Ruby, safety was always temporary, every night. At first light, the ground told the truth. Who arrived, who ran, and who didn't bother hiding their trail in dust. Border towns survive on what they can hide. A hollow in a wall could hold cash, documents, or a reason someone comes back angry, for revenge. People talked in whispers here not because they were polite, but because sound could travel to the wrong ears, all around. Ruby streets weren't made for comfort. They were built for quick decisions: run, hide, negotiate, or draw. No hesitation. The desert records everything. Footsteps, drops of fuel, a rush turnoff. Then it erases the evidence like it never mattered, like always. In Ruby, you didn't store fear in your head. You kept it within reach. A holster by the bed was just routine, at hand. Crossroads like this weren't just directions. They were appointment books where deals were made fast, and mistakes were paid in silence, no witnesses. One lamp could light a whole room and still not show the truth. In Ruby, faces stayed hard because trust was expensive, too often. Names came and went, accusations too. In Ruby, your reputation could change overnight based on a rumor and a long memory. Overnight easily. Sometimes the danger wasn't gunfire, it was the pause before it. The kind of quiet that makes your heartbeat feel too loud, cold, dread. Boxes like this could mean supplies, or something nobody wanted to explain. On the border, cargo was just another word for risk, high risk. Even now, the ground feels like a witness. Little pieces of metal, left behind proof that arguments here used to end the hard way, still today. Light falls the same way it always did, only now it lands on scars. Quiet doesn't erase what this town once carried. Still there. Borders aren't only lines on maps. Sometimes they're fences, rumors, and the feeling that someone's watching from far away, right now. Water was life out here. When it ran low, patience ran lower, and small problems could turn into violent ones, real fast. In Ruby, a doorway was never just a doorway. It was a question: who's inside, who's waiting, and who won't be walking out at once. Every town keeps accounts. Ruby's weren't just numbers. There were debts of pride, debts of fear, and debts paid in daylight, every time. Most gunfights don't start with a hero moment. They start with one mistake, one insult, and one shot nobody can take back too quickly. Sometimes you'd smell smoke and never see the flame. In Ruby, trouble could be close and still stay invisible, still invisible. Not everyone here was a gunman. Most were workers' hands cracked by rock, chasing a paycheck in a town that didn't forgive weakness. No mercy. When a town is built for one purpose, everyone feels it. Work, pay, rules, everything tightens like a fist, like steel. A drink could calm nerves, or sharpen them. In Ruby, whiskey wasn't just escape. It was often the prelude. So often, when the dust rose, it hid everything: faces, footprints, intentions. Storms weren't just weather. They were cover. As cover. From this window, you can see the same hills they saw. The difference is nobody's coming back home tonight, at all. Imagine being the law here, walking alone, counting doorways, knowing half the town might be armed, and tired of rules, every step. In places like Ruby, people didn't always say goodbye. Sometimes they left a note and trusted the desert to deliver the message, to vanish. Every border town has a back room where deals turn private, questions get answered, and the truth learns to stay quiet, behind curtains. At sunset, Ruby almost looks peaceful. But the desert is good at that, making danger feel like a beautiful memory. So well. At night, a lantern wasn't comfort. It was a signal telling everyone exactly where you were and who might come looking, in darkness. This cart once carried ore, but it also carried the reason people fought, because underground wealth makes surface life dangerous. Dangerous too. Even when it's quiet, you can almost hear it, the memory of shots bouncing off these walls, turning arguments into tragedies. Even now, some stories ended here without headlines, without justice. Just a marker, a memory, and the desert moving on, without pause. Every border town has shortcuts, paths everyone knows, but nobody admits to using quiet routes for loud business at night. Sometimes deals happen right out in daylight, because hiding could look guilty. Out here, boldness was its own disguise, plainly, openly. Warnings didn't need words. One look at a sign like this, and you understood the message: be careful, or be gone, right away. Out here, water was currency. A canteen could keep you alive, or keep you moving when someone wanted you far away, without help. In Ruby, gambling wasn't just for fun. It was a test of nerve, of luck, and of how fast you could spot danger. Real fast. Some nights, getting home was the hardest part. You kept your head down, listened to footsteps, and prayed they weren't behind you, every time. Names mattered here. Say the wrong one, at the wrong time, and the room would change, like the air just got heavier, so suddenly. The desert gives you places to hide, but it doesn't promise you'll stay hidden. Every shelter comes with a cost, every time. Ruby taught the same lesson as the desert wildlife. Don't step too close, don't move too fast, and never assume you're alone, even now. A window could be an escape, or a trap. In Ruby, people learned to avoid silhouettes, because someone might be watching all day. Every supply run was a gamble. If you brought goods in, someone might follow you out thinking you carried more than food, for sure. Not every verdict came from a courtroom. In Ruby, power decided what was right, and the town learned to live with it for years. Some things were never meant to be seen. A bundle left in the dark could be payment, or proof someone wanted buried, forever buried. People learned the difference between shade and cover. In Ruby, the darkest places were often the busiest, all day. A tin cup heard more secrets than any priest. Men talked when they thought nobody listened, then regretted it by morning, every time. Ruby sat on a thin line between town and nowhere, between law and survival, and that line kept shifting all along. Locks were meant to stop strangers, but in Ruby, the real danger was never a stranger. It was someone who already knew the way in, every time. Night runs kept Ruby alive and dangerous. If you moved goods after dark, you were either brave or already desperate. All night. Even violent towns had children once. And that's what makes the silence here feel heavier, like the future got interrupted so deeply. Canyons were perfect for slipping through unseen, and perfect for being trapped. In Ruby, routes were chosen like bets, high stakes. A single flash of metal could change a man's life. It could also change his morals fast. Too fast. Messages arrived on hoofbeats. And when someone rode in too fast, everybody knew something bad was close. Right then. One hole in a wall doesn't look like history. But it is because that hole means someone aimed and someone prayed. Right there. Some nights, one light stayed on longer than it should. And in Ruby, that usually meant someone was waiting, still waiting. People tried to protect what they had. But in Ruby, even a safe could be an invitation, because someone always knew the combination. Every time. Doorways were thresholds in Ruby between calm and chaos. Step through at the wrong time, and you might never step back. Too late. Most people who disappeared out here didn't get a headline. The desert took their names and kept walking, forevermore. Ruby wasn't just a town of talking. It was a town of listening, because the first sound you heard might be the last warning you got right now. An open street feels safe until you realize it's a corridor. In Ruby, wide space could still be a trap everywhere else. There's a kind of quiet that feels sharp, the kind Ruby had when everyone stops moving and waits to see who blinks first, for once. Everyone had an exit route. If trouble started, you didn't look brave, you looked for the gap nobody else saw, at once. And then, one day, Ruby went cold. Not with a bang, but with people leaving, and never coming back to explain why, for good. Without a roof, every room becomes a stage for the sky. Ruby didn't just empty out, it opened up, and let time move in, wide open. Rust is the desert's handwriting. It doesn't erase the past, it just rewrites it, one crack and one hinge at a time, slowly, surely. People will tell you stories about Ruby ambushes, feuds, and disappearances. The wind doesn't confirm them, it just keeps talking, still talking. Even the water feels cautious here, quiet, reflective, untouched, like it's learned what Ruby used to be and chooses not to repeat it, quietly, always. In places like Ruby, dust becomes memory. Tiny grains turning sunlight into something you can almost feel, right here. A lock is a promise of safety. But here, it's just a relic, proof that someone once tried to keep the world out, for long. Ruby runs on borderland time slow, watchful, and unforgiving. You don't rush it. You survive it, every time. Ruby isn't just a place anymore. It's a warning about greed, distance, and what happens when violence becomes normal so easily. These ruins aren't silence. They're what's left after noise, after arguments, deals, and shots that couldn't be undone, even now. Ruby teaches a hard lesson. When the edge of the map becomes home, survival can start to look like law, and legends grow where people disappear, still grow.